Very good evening, Delhi, Namaskar. This week I went to Kavda. That is in the desert of Gujarat, and that's of course where the Adani Group is making the largest renewable facility in the entire world. I came there 2 years ago. At that time there were about 30 windmills. Now there are 400 windmills. At that time, yes, there were a few solar panels. Now you are landing into an ocean of solar panels, and it's already 10 gigawatt. By 2030, it will be 30 gigawatt. To understand how much that is as much as all the hydropower we have ever developed in my nation, Norway, and we are 100% electrified by hydropower, just one plant. Or another comparison, it's 1.5 times the entire grid in Bangladesh, a nation of 180 million people. And maybe even more impressive than the solar and wind power is the battery. Adani Group has set up a battery, it's now 3.3 megawatt hours. That is the biggest in the world outside China. But during this year, it will be 14 gigawatt hours. And that's by far the largest battery anywhere in the world, including China. Well, that was made in 10 months' time. This is Adani speed. Very few companies anywhere in the world can execute massive projects with such a discipline in such short time. But look, it's not just Adani. I went to Pinnapuram in Andhra Pradesh a few months back, and in Pinnapuram, a company called Greenco has established the largest integrated solar, wind, and hydro or water as battery facility anywhere in the world. It works like this in daytime, when of course Andhra Pradesh is blessed by the sun. You pump up water from the lower to the higher reservoir, and then you release the water at nighttime, so you get energy at peak hours, and you get 24 hours energy from this plant. This one plant, ladies and gentlemen, is as big as the entire grid in Sri Lanka, a nation of 22 million people. So I spoke about Adani speed. Well, this is Greenco speed. I go very often to China. My Chinese friends always are very proud of what they call China speed. But if you add up Adani speed and Greenco speed, well, that is India speed. India is now moving so fast to the top leadership in the world in the green transition, and we should all celebrate and look into the future, which will be very bright. Look, one reason why I love to come to India, I'll be very honest with you, is that in Europe there is so much pessimism. If you read European newspapers, you get the impression that the world is a horrible place, it's getting worse by the day, and we will all end up in the hellhole. That's the perspective in 90% of everything you can read. Here is something completely different. There is optimism in the air, not just theoretical optimism, but well-founded optimism. India's growing look, any idiot can find something to criticize in India. India is as big as North America, South America, and Europe combined, because there's a lot to criticize. But there's also so much to celebrate. 7% economic growth, if that can continue to 2047. Yes, it will make India a developed nation, Viksit Bharat. India is now the largest market for solar energy in the world, next to China. India is now the third largest renewable power in the world, just passing everyone except China and the United States. The infrastructure in India is improving by the day. First time I came to India, Indira Gandhi International Airport, to be very honest, it looked like a small, remote airport in the countryside of Norway. Now it's one of the largest airports in the world, and very soon there will be a new airport in Noida. And maybe more important for the average Indians, also the last mile road to the villages are improving. And India has political stability, which we should all be really envious of. In Europe, in my nation, we are changing ministers by the day. Some European nations are changing the prime minister even every year or every second year. well, no one would invest in a private company which is changing the leadership every year. Look to all the major companies of the world, to Adani, to Reliance, to CATL or Huawei in China, to Amazon and Apple in the United States. They all have stability in the leadership because that's the condition for growth. And the same is with nations. So the fact that Prime Minister Modi could now celebrate the longest prime ministership in Indian history as an elected prime minister, that's also a reason to celebrate. But all these reasons for optimism must be also underpinned by thoughts. And that's why an institution like Chintan is so important. We need a constant dialogue between the political elites and the people, between nations, as to what are the way forward. And what Chintan has achieved in such a short period of time is simply remarkable. 1 year, well, they have numerous dialogues in bringing in knowledgeable people into these dialogues, any number of reports, so many op-eds setting the direction for the thought processes in India, and you, Shishir, has established yourself, to be very honest, as the foremost person in the world when it comes to trade policy. I'm not aware of anyone else who makes so knowledgeable inputs to what will be the trade policies for India, but indeed for the world, as you do, as a head of the Chintan Foundation. But this underpinning the growth story of India by thought is so important, and congratulations to what you have achieved in this record period of time. Then finally, I think we all know that we are living at a time of rapid international changes. And that's exactly why we need an institution like Chintan and other think tanks to find a way through these. And in my view, there are three which are more important than any others. First, it's a time of enormous technological change. We all understand that artificial intelligence will be a key driver of the future. It has enormous potential for good, to make the energy systems a lot more efficient, to make us live much longer life, to cure diseases, to improve our education. The potential for good by artificial intelligence is enormous. So is the downside. Artificial intelligence may kill more jobs than it creates. We don't know yet. Artificial intelligence for sure can be used for wars and terrorism. And we need to discuss how we can make sure that artificial intelligence is people-centered. That we are not servants of the technology, but the technology will serve us. That was also the topic of the Artificial Intelligence Conference here in Delhi a few months back. And I believe India can play a key global role in this discussion about how we make artificial intelligence and technology people-centered. The other big transition is the green transition. Look, back in the days, there was only one way to prosperity. It started in the United Kingdom and spread to the entire world. You go fossil. There's no way to prosperity without coal and oil and gas. Look, the Brits were not stupid. They knew that sending 10-year-old girls and boys down in the coal mines were very dangerous. But it was the only way to prosperity, and that's why they did it. But now it's completely shifted, because in the last few years, the price of solar and wind energy, and indeed, as Adani shows in Kauda, of battery energy, is falling so fast that if you switch from fossil to renewables, it's not a cost. It's a cost saving. So it's the economic proposition for the future is to go renewable, and that's why it's happening at record speed, basically everywhere in the world. And of course, what happened in the Gulf, the Strait of Hormuz, is supercharging this, because every nation wants to be independent on volatile international oil markets. Every nation wants to be independent of the Strait of Hormuz. How do you do that? Well, the sun is Indian, the wind is Indian, the great rivers of India, they're all Indian. So whenever you replace one drop of oil in India by renewables, you save money and you go green and you create jobs domestically, all the same. That's why the green transition is happening so fast, but I think that Chintan can underpin that transition. And lastly, we are into a time of unprecedented geopolitical shifts. This week was the G7 meeting, and Prime Minister Modi went there to have some useful bilaterals with President Trump and others. But look, G7 now looks so old-fashioned. It looks basically outdated. It's an institution from another era. It's an institution from the time when the West dominated the world and from a time when the West was unified. Now the West is no longer dominating, nor is it united. And then G7 looks like a fossil, nothing really relevant for the future of the world, because there is no way we can form the future of the world without India, without China, without Brazil, without Indonesia, without South Africa, and all the major nations of the global South. Did you know that Indonesia is expected to be the fourth largest economy in the world by 2050, a larger economy than any European economy? So these shifts are profound, and whatever will happen, we do not know exactly, of course, what will happen in the future, but there is no future of geopolitics without India playing a key role. India will be one of the main foundation stones of the future order, whatever that order will look like. And I think there is every reason to be optimistic for that. Look, some of the previous leaders of the world, they intervene in every possible war they could think of. India has not been into wars with any other nation than the neighbor Pakistan. And even when the war was a war with Pakistan, India called the end after 6 days in Operation Sindoor. What are lessons to be learned from other nations? So a more India-centric world will in all likelihood be a more peaceful world. It will also be a greener world, and it will be a world that is focused more on economic development, because India by itself wants to uplift its people, and by doing that it will also help other nations uplifting themselves. Of course, a core issue here is the relationship between China and India as the two giants of the global South. But as I said, Brazil, Indonesia, Turkey, South Africa, Nigeria, Ethiopia, let's mention them all. They will have a great say in the future, and I believe that will be a much more democratic, potentially more peaceful world. But of course we need to set the rules for that world, and that's not yet done. So thank you so much, Ishe. And congratulations to all the great staff of Chintan for what they have achieved in record time. And I believe Chintan will be a core participant in the debates which will shape India, and by shaping India, shaping the world in the next decades. Thank you and congrats.